Namaskaram everyone. This year's theme is, twofold. The first one is Narayana's Pancha Prakara, his 5 nilais, which means 5 emanations of Perumal. And what you will see here is the first emanation here, which is the Pararupa, followed by his other emanations on the traditional steps. Let's get going then. So in the Pararupa, you will see Paravasudevan, Narayana, in his Vaikuntha Dhama with his wives Shri Bhumi and Nila, traditionally represented in a slightly different way, but here due to space constraints, they are represented this way. So this is Narayana in his Vaikuntha, which is known as the Nitya Vibhutis. There are 2 Vibhutis, 2 worlds that belong to him. One is the Vaikuntha and the second is the Leela Vibhuti, which is where we all live. Everything other than Nitya Vibhuti is Leela Vibhuti, which includes the samsara as well. And in this video, we shall see how a Muktatma, a person who approaches Ramanuja and surrenders unto the Lord, later on, when he sheds the body, climbs up that golden ladder and goes beyond this world into Vaikuntha for eternal liberation, eternal service, which is basically serving the Lord eternally, Nitya Kenkarya. So this is the Jivatma who's just passed on, shed his body, and he goes on this Archiradi marga. Archis is the first world, the light, this is the path of light, and goes beyond many worlds, and in each world he is accompanied by people. And in those worlds, people invite him, receive him with happiness and respect and offer him their kingdoms. But he goes beyond, And the 9th loka, Vidyut Deva, that is the Lord, the deity of the lightning, receives him and accompanies him till he reaches the Viraja river, which demarcates the boundaries between the 2 worlds, the Nitya and the Leela Vibhuti. And as the Jivatma bathes in the Viraja, this Vidyut Deva, who's also known as Amanavan, will touch him and then take him to Vaikuntha. And there, everyone, including this newly liberated soul, will become mostly like Narayana. They will get Samyapati in manifold Samyapati. There are a few exceptions, like the Shriyapatitvam, the Srivatsam, the Vanamala, etc. only belong to Perumal. But otherwise, everybody here beyond this point of Viraja will look like Narayana to a large extent. Dark blue skin, 4 arms that hold a conch, a discus, a mace, and so on and so forth. So this is the point when the Muktatma enters Vaikuntha. As he enters Vaikuntham, Sri Vaikuntham, the Muktatman is received with a lot of pomp and happiness from the inhabitants, both Nityasuris and the other Muktatmas. 500 Apsarastris, for example, come to decorate him, adorn him with clothes that Narayana had worn, prasadams basically, and then he's taken around in an open an open chariot, and after a while Garuda comes and picks him up in a vimana and takes him towards the forests that surround the country of Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is the name both of the country, of the city, and the exact place where Narayana lives. And there he is also received by further Nityasuris who are called, basically attracted by the music that is played, the drums that are beaten to announce the arrival of a new liberated soul. And they come with happiness and reverence, and they bring the Shathari, to bless him as well as the Muktatma reaches the entrance of the city of Vaikuntha. And as he enters the city of Vaikuntha, he is taken around the city in a palanquin, open palanquin. So he goes around the city, and once he comes from his round all the way to Tirumamani Mandapam, which is where Narayana lives, he prostrates himself and sees Narayana surrounded by his devotees, the Nityasuris, like Vishwaksena to the right, Garuda to the left, to our right and our left. People performing their seva, singing Arvar Pasurams, but also Jir Swamis and so forth. And the Arvas as well nearby, a place where Narayana sits in state with his consorts. And the Jivatma starts climbing upon invitation the 24 steps, which represent the 24 tattvas, the 25th being the Jivatman, and the 26th being God himself. He climbs upon that lotus, which is the basis upon which Ananta sits, upon whom Narayana and his consorts sit. And the Muktatma climbs above, climbs on Ananta, and then sits on the lap of Narayana, who then asks him, Kosi, who are you? He replies, Aham Brahmasmi. The conversation proceeds further till the Muktatma comes out and starts serving eternally the Lord in this place from which there is no return. And this place is described, Vaikuntham, Sri Vaikuntham is described by many people, including Ramanuja, in his Vaikuntha Gadyam. And the whole process of the Jivatman's trip from this world to the next is also described in many works like the Srimad Rahasyatraya Saram by Vedanta Deshikan, and also Pillai Lokacharya's Archiradi. So this is a beautiful place with plenty of groves and water bodies, plenty of peacocks and cuckoos and whatnots. A pleasant place where one can focus on serving the Lord in one way or the other, in many ways if necessary, taking many bodies, non-stop serving, which is not possible in this world. And here live all the Arvas and the Acharyas who have gone there, like Nammarva here, but also the pot of Dadhipandan. If you know the story, Dadhipandan was a cowherd who protected Krishna from his mother Yashoda, who was chasing him, but in return asked for liberation, both for himself and the pot that helped Krishna escape from his mother. The rest of Vaikuntha, as per the descriptions and a bit of my own imagination. As I said, the Arvas, the Acharyas live here. People do kainkaryams like making garlands, playing music, singing, but also teaching and learning texts, any kainkarya that they like to do in this world. They probably continue to do there as well. Second part, it's not really the second part, but the other prakaras of the Lord are on these 5 steps. The first one, the top one, is his vyuha form. On the following one is his vibhava form, that's his avatars. In the third and fourth, on the third and fourth steps, you have the archa form, which is his images, icons, etc. And then finally, on the last one, represents his antaryami form, his being the inner controller in all, everyone and everything. Let's look at this in some detail. And prakara is that of vyuha murtis. And the most well-known form is that of this Vasudeva who lies in the milk ocean, on the milk ocean rather, with Shri and Bhumi. And the other lesser known forms of his are those that you can see here in different colors and different functions as well, Aniruddha, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, etc. And on this step you will see some of the other activities that happened in and around the milk ocean, the Ksherabdhi. Let's have a closer look. And here you have the Samudra Manthanam. So the Devas and the Asuras decide that they want the Amrita, the nectar, to keep them immortal, which rather means, well, immortal, that they will live in their bodies for a very long time. So they start churning the ocean with it. Of course, they use this mountain to churn it, but also the serpent called Vasuki. And to make it steady, Narayana becomes a tortoise, but the mountain goes up and a little wobbly, so he becomes Ajita, sits on it to steady it. So they all start churning it, and Narayana makes sure that the Asuras get to the side of the head of the serpent, so that the venom that it spits affects them but not the Devas. Nevertheless, the hala hala poison comes out, and Shiva takes and drinks it, and makes his throat blue, or up to the throat becomes blue, as his wife stops the spread of the venom. And out of this come many different animals and things, like the Kalpataru up there, but also Airavata, the four-tusked elephant, Uchchaishravas, the white horse, Kamadhenu, the cow that gives all that one can wish for, Lakshmi, whom the Vyakyatas, the Sri Vaishnava Vyakyata says, is the true nectar, because the other nectar that comes out and the Devas and Asuras want to consume is, after all, just upachara, brackish, salty water. And Dhanvantari, the Lord comes in the form of Dhanvantari along with the pot that contains the nectar. And of course, to make things easier, he also joins the Devas, the ranks of the Devas and of the Asuras, to help them churn. So he takes many, many avatars within this one avatara. And what happens next is that the Asuras want to have all the nectar for themselves, and the Devas say no. So Narayana takes an avatara as a beautiful woman, Mohini, and then charms the Asuras and says that she would distribute them equally, but ends up giving everything to just the Devas who are sitting here, not the Asuras, except for two who become Rahu and Ketu, but that's a different story, and that's a story for another day. Oh yeah, the Apsaras too come out of this churning of the ocean. And Lakshmi, who comes out, decides that she wants to marry Narayana. So basically she just walks towards him, climbs on his chest, and stays there. Here we have a wedding performed on Panguni Uttram for these two couples, attended by priests, devas, rishis, and so on and so forth. The next emanation is that of vibhava, which corresponds to the avatars that we know. In the background you see all the 10 avatars: Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Balarama, Krishna, and Kalki. And I have also added here Narasimha here as Lakshmi Narasimha, but also some of the Acharyas whom Vedanta Deshika considers as avatars of Narayana, or at least you can consider them as the worshippers of the Lord, in this case of Narasimha. The next emanation is that of archa. Archa is simply icon, image. So anything that you see on an image, a photo, in a temple, etc. would be archa murtis, and you can see archa murtis in Sri Rangam, the Mula Murti, the Utsava Murti who comes on a Garuda Vahana to bless the whole city, even though the people do not come to him inside the temple. This is one of the most easy to access forms of the Lord, one of the favorites of the Arvas and the Acharyas. You can see here Arayas performing Arayar Sevai and people worshipping these lords, that's Venkateshwara, and this is Varadarajaswamy, and so on and so forth. Here you have Veera Raghava Perumal and his devotee Sudarshan Alvar. And then you have Bhuvarahar from Tiruvadavandai. And it's a place that is known for weddings. People who want to get married pray there, people get married there, and so on and so forth. And here you also have Puri Jagannatha, and then in Pushkar, the Lord takes the form of the pond that is central to the place, and in Naimisharanya, the Lord, his body is the forest itself. And then finally, you have the last form, which is the antaryami. The Lord is the antaryami in everyone and everything, represented here by a mirror that shines in everybody's heart. And there are two types. There is one in all the things and animals, etc., that cannot meditate on the Lord. He is simply present, and those who can, he appears with a form along with Sri. Here you have Hanuman, but also Tirumari Sayarvar, in whose hearts he lived with a form along with Sri. And same here with all these Arvas and Acharyas. So this is his final form that devotees can see if they meditate on him. This brings us to an end. So these are the 2nd to the 5th emanations of the Lord, with this being his first, his Pararupa. Thank you.